Post-traumatic stress disorder is a disorder caused by exposure to trauma, emotional trauma, physical trauma, psychological trauma, and it causes a wide variety of emotional conditions and states.
A soldier coming back from a war, having a hard time readjusting to civilian life based on what they've experienced during a war, seeing horrific things.
Stress response to a traumatic event like combat or potentially sexual abuse or any type of trauma that a person perceives as potentially life-threatening.
Our anxiety
is that you're reliving the event, like something will trigger you and you'll be back at the event.
Self-damaging behavior.
You avoid stimulants or the stimulation of the traumatic event. So anything that reminds you of the event, the original occurrence of the trauma, you'll avoid that.
You'll react with different degrees of emotional disorders.
You have a kind of a negative change to your perception of reality, trying to figure out if there's a threat in their environment. And they often interpret little things in their environment as a threat.
In most situations, PTSD is going to manifest itself as some sort of, damaging behavior or disorder, whereby the person suffering from the condition is either seeking treatment, and is self-medicating, or the person is, seeking counseling or asking for help. The armed forces and the medical community are recognizing that even if the person suffering from the condition isn't aware of the fact that they may be suffering from the condition, we have to work with them to identify it before some of these, destructive or damaging behaviors can occur.
I would say that PTSD affects the world through the stress response and its effect on families. They're not doing just one or two kind of rounds of combat these days. They're doing 4 or 5.
My name is Sean Barry, and I was involved in the Vietnam War.
Donald Steele, and I was part of the Vietnam era.
My name is Kenneth Boger. I was in Vietnam. Weekly we were hearing the body count getting higher and higher. This is something our country was doing, and I had the obligation to do my share.
It's probably the hardest thing to do is to be balancing somebody's life in your hands. You're working with somebody, you're helping somebody, and they're dying. And you're the last person they have contact with. And you take that home with you that night, back to your hut, and think about it, and think about that every day, and do that every day for a year and a half or whatever.
Once you pass to the dark side, home does not matter anymore. It's survival, it's staying alive. I wouldn't write home anymore. I didn't care if I heard from the people at all.
A veteran might react differently, especially a combat veteran. I have been out in places where there's a loud noise or some type of say a crash in an accident. I've actually fallen to the ground when a helicopter has come over low. People have looked at me and laughed. Well, they don't understand, why. They just thought maybe I overreacted. But to me, it's not an overreaction. That's a learned form of survival. You learn to react to noises, and to this day, I jump. I still do it. Always will. And I know I'm not alone. All combat veterans that I know have the same problem.
In 1995 is when I finally had started losing my ability to maintain. I went into the West Haven VA in Connecticut and remained there for the next 4 years.
I've been through 4 marriages, 3 divorces, in and out of 7 colleges, God knows how many jobs.
In '95, I went to the hospital and my son had come with me to talk to my clinician because they had a family day, and he had looked at her and said, "Why is my dad always so angry?" And it tore my heart out. You know, I mean, he was 7 years old.
When I came home, so many people said to me, "You look so different. You don't smile anymore."
I seriously believe that this is the most wonderfulest country there is. I think lack of education allowed wars to happen. People's bad judgments. I think in today's world they should be able to sit down at a table and figure it out. I mean, we have all of the right things. We know what it takes to, you know, to pacify a person, and you know, you got to give and take, and it should be all peace. There's no reason for war.
We're all here together. We're all in the same boat, so to speak. And there may not be a paddle, but let's use our hands, okay? We can do it together.
Today, I don't believe there should be any war.
My name is Kenneth Boger.
Sean Barry.
Donald Steele.